Hello and welcome to Playwright, a podcast about creating and sharing new ways to play. My name is Ryan Hamann. You can call me H.
And I'm Ryan Quintal. You can call me Q.
It's been another crazy couple weeks as 2020 continues to, for some reason, just kind of drudge on. I think everyone's been pretty unanimous. Like, let's just call 2020 here, and good try. You can't say that you didn't try something new. But
right. It's never too soon for New Year's Eve, and we've hit the point where I'm ready for it. I don't know why, but when you said it's been and had a pause, so many things started to come to my mind. The first was, it's been 1 week. And then, of course, it's been a long December. And it really has been a long 2020, hasn't it?
Yeah. That's one of my favorite kind of troll moves is to call 1 week by the Bare Naked Ladies It's Been by Smash Mouth. It's like people know what you're talking about, but everyone is just like,
I have the same problem with the Smash Mouth song of whenever I hear someone have a momentary pause in somebody, if that triggers it for me as well. That was really good. You actually hit the right rasp and everything on that. That was eerie.
I wanted to bring attention to, because we like to point out weird games on Playwright when we see them. There's an upcoming game from Harmonix that is a kind of a digitized version of Drop Mix, which we've spoken of very fondly in the past, called Fuser, I think it is.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it. It looks kind of like you're a festival DJ, kind of mixing on the go, all sorts of up to 4 different popular songs together, dropping in different instruments, and it'll automatically beat match it in the way that Drop Mix does so well. And so I'm looking forward to bringing the Drop Mix experience into a purely digital format. It's coming out in fall of this year. I'm excited to get it, but it has 2 SKUs for $60 for the basic and $100 for the VIP edition, which includes some musical DLC as well as some other kind of like packaged in items. But that's quite a commitment.
Yeah, I almost like the way Harmonix makes this or has this music tech. It's so good. It's almost a shame that they waste it on video games, right? Maybe you just need to make some sort of professional piece of software, Harmonix, and charge like $200 and sustain your business and be done with it.
Even within the realm of video games, almost all of their games are packaged behind like some sort of additional paywall of like content. Unfortunately breakable peripherals. And so there are going to be like generations in the future that just like can't play Rock Band and experience all the work that they've done on the freestyle guitar solos and like so cool. And, generations in the future that they did a Rock Band VR that is, you need both the plastic guitar peripheral and VR headset, as well as the VR motion tracking peripherals as well. There's Fantasia Music Evolved game that you need a Kinect to play, which will not be forward compatible with the Xbox Series X, unfortunately, because the Kinect is not forwards compatible. So all of these like really, really just brilliant, just mind-bendingly good games that are just kind of are at risk of being lost to time.
Yeah.
It's too early to call it now, but these are the games at the highest risk that I wish there was a better way of kind of cataloging. Like music games by nature don't hold up in Let's Plays, not only because of the music licensing, but also because just playing the music is such it's a more integral part of rhythm games than I would say any other genre of gameplay. So it's really unfortunate. Like I just want to find some way to preserve all of the goodness that Harmonix has brought into the world.
Yeah, there's just certain songs and things that they've made exist that you can't even get really unless you jump through a lot of hoops. Crazy. And speaking of games to shout out, this past week we actually got the Pokemon MOBA that Playwright pitched back in July 2018. So no, we weren't tuned into the development of that. We just I think we will probably be living in this increasingly strange reality where, 3 years into the show, we're actually going to see some of these things accidentally or purposefully come to life.
Well, on the contrary, we weren't privy to any plans for them to create one, but now we know exactly how long it takes for someone to pitch a Pokemon game and then develop it.
Yeah. And shout out to the Pokemon Company. I'm sure our royalty checks are in the mail, but we will not be waiting for them, of course.
That's right. I got my stimulus check in the mail, and they sent a separate letter from the IRS afterwards.
Oh.
That was like, first of all, you get something in the mail from the IRS and you're just like, oh
Scary.
No, what happened now?
Yeah,
did I miscalculate my taxes or something? And it was basically them just boasting about like, so we sent you a stimulus check. Does that make you want to express any fondness towards any certain presidents or anything? Like,
oh no, that's gross. That's gross.
They're just wasting trees, boasting about something that was like really not even enough to begin with. But anyways, not going to get into it here. Let's get into some video game pitches. I'm going to be going first today. So over the weekend and over the last week, I've been playing a lot of ARMS on the Switch, kind of in anticipation of Min Min coming to Smash Bros, which is terrific. I'm super happy about that. Also, I really love ARMS, and I just really needed to like sit down and actually practice with it to get like, good. And I'm not good yet. ARMS is a game that has what seems like an impossibly high skill ceiling. Like I practice hard. Like I've been doing fighting games nonstop all spring. I've been, hammering ARMS for a number of days now, and I feel like I can be competitive if I hop online, but when I'm facing off against computers, like I'm still kind of like on level 3 of 7 or something like that, or 3 of 9. And it's just like, I can't believe that the computer thinks that I can be like 6 levels higher than I am now. I feel like I'm maxing out what my brain is able to comprehend.
Yeah.
But presumably there are ARMS experts out there. So anyways, it's a long way of getting to what I want to do is a game inspired by ARMS. It's kind of a game where you play a lazy character who has stretchy arms. You have to do all of your household chores around the house by stretching out your arms while you are just relaxing in your bed watching TV or something. And so you kind of like, your camera follows your arm around the house, and you have to use the arm as kind of like a physics object to, push buttons to make lunch or to vacuum the ground or, whatever it is that needs to be done. But your arm kind of like, as it stretches, it remains in all of the areas that you were previously like stretching through. And so you can't go through any place that your arm had previously been because the arm is still there, just kind of flopping around. So it's kind of like Snaky Bus if you played that, or it's kind of like a Tron light cycle type of thing. So, just kind of leaves the trail of arm behind it. And you have to find a way to do all of your chores in such an order that you can still kind of maneuver around the house. So I'm going to start the clock there.
Bizarre that you ended up pitching this, or very coincidental, because I was actually thinking about a snake game where the snake actually never there's no end to the snake. You just start where you start and you just keep going, which is a little bit what we're talking about here, right?
Right.
I imagine that we're not using the arm fully Octodaddy, like clumsily, like there is some articulation with the hand, or it's a little bit more secure in grabbing and holding things.
Yeah. I'd like somewhere kind of in the middle where it's not intentionally trying to make you mess up, but it's still just like a little kind of like goofy feeling. You're almost kind of flying your hand around like it's a Star Fox ship.
Okay.
With your arm trailing behind you. And so, from that perspective, it could be a little awkward, but you have to like hit the right buttons on the microwave. You have to, do some fairly precise inputs with an input method that it leaves a little bit to be desired, but that's part of the fun. But I don't want it to be like a frustration game either.
I wonder if you have some mechanic where you treat your arm almost like the mechanism I'm thinking of is the quickly suck the cord back into the vacuum type of thing. Do you know what I'm talking about there? So I wonder if you have some button or something that does that, it almost acts as both a rewind to a certain extent, but if you get yourself in, if you really wedge yourself in between things, potentially you actually tangle your arm and you limit your own rewind capability.
Yeah, I think that would be necessary in like a story-based game or something where there's like a clear kind of like a beginning and end that you're working towards. If this is more of like a run type of thing where you do as many chores as you can and do you have enough to get the highest score, then it seems like getting tangled up in your own arms is kind of like the natural way to end each run as well.
Yeah, or like maybe you kind of go through the level, and if you manage to never tangle yourself and you can do the full rewind and kind of retract your arm, you also get measured by how far you could retract your arm, or did it get stuck almost. There's just one final like measurement of like, whether there's time or something involved.
Yeah.
What could we do with chores? I mean, vacuuming, cooking, cleaning, there's a lot of mechanics in there, but how are they? I think I'm like searching for how we can make them feel distinct from each other and not just kind of like grabbing or hitting A to interact with something and then sort of wiggling around joysticks.
I mean, this could be like a VR thing where you have that kind of one-to-one control, but you always are perhaps accelerating forwards slowly or quickly. I don't know if there's kind of an automatic acceleration or whether you are kind of guiding yourself almost like an underwater level of a game using kind of three-dimensional movement there.
That's interesting. I wonder if there's like a way to sort of, maybe you can't grab chairs and move them out of the way or something, and instead you have like a little smack or punch or flick even mechanic where you can kind of nudge things around the environment that are obstacles, and the only things that you can really grab and interact with are the sort of mini games strewn about the level.
Yeah, or if you have to, what you could do even is if like a doorway is starting to get kind of cluttered with all the arms that you've gone kind of back and forth through it, you could use other physics objects in your environment, like a bookcase, to like topple down on top of your arms to kind of squish them down so that you can continue using the doorway for a little bit longer.
I don't know if you have this frame of reference, but do you know the show Alex Mack?
Yeah, from Nickelodeon back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like you can like temporarily liquidify or something yourself to get to something like that, but that's kind of interesting. I'm trying to think about like, as we're going through the environment and doing these chores, are the chores measured on time or like success? Because if you're going to do vacuuming, potentially you'll have to go room by room and really increase the chances that you're going to get all tangled up in this.
Yeah, I think it would be kind of a proportion of total job done that you'd be rated on. Yeah, I was also thinking that if you are extending your arm and you try to pick up something heavy, then it's going to be very difficult to do because of the leverage involved.
Yeah.
If maybe there's like a strength meter that resets every time you like wrap yourself around something. So like a chair leg or a lamp or something, almost like a snake pass. If you've ever played that, it's like a platformer where you play as a snake and you can't obviously like jump or run around. You have to kind of slither your way around posts and, find ways to support yourself as you're trying to like ascend and descend these kind of complicated structures.
What I think is cool there is now we can get into, if you have that sort of snake pass like setup, now you can get into maybe before you actually enter the level or start the level, you could do something where there's a little bit of an overview or something where somebody can actually scour the level. So you have to choose what jobs you're going to do in what order to get the maximum, because eventually you'll just like, if you get too tangled, you'll be totally cut off. So maybe this is a way to enable something like that.
Yeah. So you have your list of everything that needs to be done, And perhaps, I don't know if you're in the same house for the entire game and you have to kind of like learn your way around like where everything is kept. Maybe you have to return things to where they're supposed to be afterwards, cool. So you can find them next time. Or maybe the house is randomized every time. Maybe you got a changing house.
I'm trying to think of like, you could also potentially build in like a little bit of a stamina meter so that you can have a reach mechanic so you can really stretch your arm and maybe go and get to something that like maybe you've just got no slack left in the old forearm and you have to kind of hold down something, and like whether you're earning the stamina through the task that you're completing and it's kind of like an ability that you can fire, or if it's more formalized of like, hey, this is just on a cooldown and you get to use it whenever.
Maybe even there's the possibility of, once you've done your chores around the house, beat those levels, you can kind of advance to, having to go outside of the house and go to work, and your commute to work, you're actually kind of like functioning around the office. Maybe you have to be sneaky and keep your arm, in areas where it won't be noticed, like, running along the ceiling or kind of propped up behind. I just watched Gremlins 2 again the other day, and I was just thinking about how much fun it is to sneak around a crowded office building.
You could also do, I know this is getting in a little bit into Octodad territory, but I love the idea of maybe the person that you're living with doesn't know that you have this stretchy arm power. And so you have that kind of hide mechanic or something where you got to somehow tuck your arm away or bury it under a pile of clothes, like jumping into a haystack in Assassin's Creed, or even maybe putting a hat and a mustache on it to feign that you are you're a character rather than just a super stretchy arm.
Let's end that one and let's give it a name.
And our boy Stretch Armstrong's already taken. I mean, I do just like Armstrong.
Armstrong, yeah. I think that fits in. That's a good fit for that one. Armstrong. Let's move on to our next game. Q, what are you bringing in today?
So my pitch for you today is a little simple and kind of strange, but I'm thinking about a horror game where maybe it's level or run based, but you are running through a maze-like building and you're being chased by a monster, and there's just a ton of doors. Imagine like almost, a fun house number of doors, and you can choose every door whether you want to straight up open it and leave it open, if you want to close it. Potentially there's a lock or barricade option, or just break through the door. Each decision takes time to accomplish, right? If you're going to do something like lock or barricade, that takes more time, and potentially the monster can catch up to you, but also has an opposite reaction in terms of it takes the monster longer to get through the door that you set up. So you get through this whole thing, there is eventually an exit door, and maybe you're measured on time. And I also think it would be interesting to gauge success on how much time you actually delayed the monster. So it's almost like your lap time and you're the distance between you and the ghost.
Okay, all right, let's start the clock there. I was thinking all of this opening doors, closing doors, creating a ruckus behind you would be interesting if we can find a way to require players to find their way out afterwards. Like if you have to venture into this kind of, ever shifting mansion and then remember your route to find your way out after finding like an amulet that dispels the ghost or something like that. And so you have like a limited time it just reminds me of the labyrinth and the Minotaur from Greek mythology.
Oh yeah.
And having to kind of leave that golden thread behind to remember the way out of this kind of endlessly large maze.
That's interesting. So what we're saying is we get really deep into this thing, and then almost like that scene in The Shining, you almost have to retrace your steps. And if you're closing and locking doors behind you, not only does it delay the monster, but it potentially obfuscates your path back.
Right. So the things that are most beneficial as you're escaping are going to be the least beneficial for you to try to find your way back. And so maybe you only choose to close and lock doors when there is kind of another point of reference in the room that you're going to remember anyways, like a statue or piece of artwork or something that you're going to be able to use as a reference on your way back.
That's interesting. Okay, cool. So now we're moving through this world. I'm almost wondering like if there could be some kind of cool mechanic in terms of being able to, as you're moving through spaces like that act in like a Call of Duty Zombies mode where you actually are sitting there and hammering up and like actually closing out a door. If there's a breadcrumb like system to also give yourself like hints, maybe you can really quickly, all you have is like a piece of chalk and you can very quickly imagine a radial menu with your joystick or something and paint an arrow just in any direction that you point.
There was a time when I was in high school, I think it was before we had like GPSs built into our phones, where I was in Seattle with a friend to catch a show. Afterwards, we got out of the show. It wasn't too late. And so we were like, hey, Space Needle looks like it's pretty close by. What if we just kind of like walk there? And as is always the case in the city, like with the big buildings, like they look closer than they really are. And so we found ourselves kind of like snaking back and forth on streets for quite a while to get to where we needed to go. And, we eventually got there, and then we had to kind of find our way back afterwards. We were a little intimidated because it's like, we walked for quite a ways. We made quite a few turns along the way as we kind of like staircased our way through the city. And, we were worried about being able to find our way back to the car, but we ended up doing so by finding all of the kind of like statues and fountains and billboards and stuff that we had made jokes about on the way there. So we kind of followed our train of comedy through the city to find our way back.
Huh. So in that model, you're kind of looking at the actions that you took in the past?
Yeah, or just, rooms you found memorable. I think even in games where like Dead Cells or Remnant from the Ashes, like games that have procedural generation where the levels are kind of by nature not memorable, I'll remember if I have to backtrack like which room is which because of the encounters that have happened there. So, having to kind of rely upon that as you make your way through this maze.
Maybe one of the things that you should do is like barricading the door or locking the door, taking that extra second. And let's say there's 4 or 5 levels of delay. Doing that is because you have no idea when you enter a room if you're going to encounter resistance in some way, or maybe something that you're going to have to deal with, an additional monster or creature, something that's going to, or even just a series of traps that are really going to slow your progress. You don't know what's behind each door. And so it causes that constant pressure of like, is this the one I should barricade or am I going to risk it? And then if I get slowed down, it's going to let the monster catch up to me. And I can imagine just like one of the only pieces of UI on the screen is literally imagine along the top or bottom, just a little U marker and a little monster marker almost. I know that maybe that's less scary. You want to maybe keep it kind of HUD-less or something.
There's also that kind of classic horror movie thing of opening the wrong door or making it look like you went in a different direction to try to throw them off your trail. Mm-hmm. That could be done here. And then, on your way back, that could potentially be a distraction for you. It could fool you into going into, there's 2 open doors in here. I know I came from one of them, and I know another one was a distraction, but I don't remember which is which anymore.
Oh man, imagine some sort of, now we're kind of in like sci-fi tech, but some sort of like holographic door that you can just quickly throw onto any wall to confuse the monster or something like that. And as you go, if you try and go through your activated hologram door, maybe there's an electrical shock or something that kind of stuns you in place. So you really want to be able to see maybe there's like a slight glitch in it every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, this would be kind of, so let's say, are you thinking of this being a primarily single player experience, or is this like a competitive, almost like a Dead by Daylight type of thing?
I think you could do either. What are you having in mind? What's the angle maybe?
One angle
of do you have an idea for like a multiplayer version of it? Cause I've always been like, hey, I'm going to kind of do these runs, but I guess you can always do something as simple as leaderboards, but you could also set a map so that like there's 4 people all trying to get to the center and get the thing that actually makes them immune to the creature, and then the rest of them, then like only once somebody claims that do the exit doors unlock, and then everyone has to scramble for exits, but only one person has like the actual weapon that can deflect the monster if it gets close.
Yeah, maybe there's different objectives. If there are multiple people trying to escape, then that means that there's people aren't being like followed one-to-one necessarily. But if this was kind of like a 2-player, like one is the monster, one is the character, I think that works pretty well, because you are essentially trying to kind of like psychologically fool the pursuer.
Yeah, and then I like the idea if you claim this monster deflection thing, whatever this crystal, whatever it is, then you potentially end up deflecting the monster onto opponents that were trying to get it, because once you get this deflection thing, maybe your position is now alerted to all your opponents, so they can try and make their way to the exit, or they can try and make their way to steal it from you and temporarily disable you, because only one person can maybe get out with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. To try to find ways to kind of throw the monster onto your scent without exposing themselves.
It's such a simple concept. I'm almost wondering like how even. I feel like it's complicated enough, so I'm trying to think about like what to talk about next. Do we go into specific mechanics? Because I do like the idea of bringing in some of those more first-person horror, the Outlast elements of maybe there's breath holding, or maybe there's like if you're able to sneak in the monsters close enough, you get the sort of alien isolation, like don't get killed by the monster, but you'd have to really compress the space and make the monster pretty immediately lethal.
I played through recently Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
Okay.
And one of the things that really kind of stood out to me about that game was how every time you would find one of the collectibles or find like something that the character wanted to put on the map, then she would actually take out the map and draw on it. And, you would be walking slowly while she did that. And it turned, updating the map from like a instant thing that happened in your codec or Dragonborn's brain or whatever it was, like however it's represented in each of these game worlds, into like an actual action that was taken. And it kind of got me wondering about whether map updating could be kind of like a optional thing that somebody could choose to do for each room that they're in, knowing that it takes a little bit of time that will eventually add up. And so maybe it's just kind of like, maybe you only update your map every few rooms. And so you're kind of like, you leave little breadcrumbs for yourself on the map, as you check that on the way out, or maybe that provides you some additional level of visibility or something like that. But it's a choice, something that you wouldn't be doing all the time.
I like the idea of giving somebody some set of options so that they can weigh their decision making like early on in a match and see if like that strategy ends up kind of panning out, if that makes any sense. Like some method of like planning and then execution of that thing, and that way you're kind of always striving for the perfect run.
Let's end that one there. We're over time. Let's give it a name.
I like the idea of pursuit or the pursuer or something akin to that. What do you think about something a little bit more kitschy, and you do something like right behind you or don't look behind you?
I do like that. That's fun. It's playful. Don't look behind you. I think it's a good one. Let's go over to our community. We are running low, so we're going to be reading. Comes from CaterWeb.
Oh.
Who says, massive sale on stainless steel tables and sinks. CaterWeb newsletter number 283. Thank you for whoever signed us up for this. This is a massive sale on stainless steel tables and sinks. In any commercial kitchen, stainless steel tables and sinks are a must. CaterWeb carries a huge selection of stainless steel tables and sinks in a variety of shapes and sizes to accommodate your specific needs. We offer stainless steel plain top tables, splashback tables, dirties tables, inlet and outlet tables. Our range includes single and double preparation sinks, single and double pot sinks, and combination sinks. Contact us to place your order. All right, I think that's enough to go on. Let's go ahead and start the clock there.
I'm thinking I don't want this to be a sim, but I'm thinking my brain is like, what if we did some kind of, not roller coaster tycoon, but I'm almost imagining like you're running a cartoony stainless steel forge that you got to somehow press into all sorts of different shapes, but the pacing is got to be like quick and fun.
There's a game that just came out today called Townscaper. It's out in early access now, and I'm sure that you've seen it. It's a project that this one guy's been working on for a very, very long time. One of the developers of Bad North came out with this fun little tool to basically build towns, like kind of almost like in a Minecraft kind of way, where it's just like as simple as like placing bricks on top of bricks, but each one kind of represents like a room in a building. And as you add, bricks in different areas, snap together like Legos, it kind of procedurally morphs it into a sensible or a not so sensible building, depending on the shape that you give it. And it's very hypnotic to watch. This is the game that, he's been advertising via GIFs and stuff during development, and just kind of unanimously people have been like, oh, I love watching these GIFs. I can't wait to play around with the tool now that it's out. And I mean, it's really like you have as much fun with it as you put into it. Like there's really not a lot going on, but not to be dismissive. Like it is what it says on the tin as well. Like it's a very interesting and a very cool town building tool. No objective, just the opportunity to get in there and to piece together some little cities. So anyways, I was just thinking about like it allows you to create things of such like strange and unique shapes, and it automatically kind of fills in like courtyards where there's empty spaces that are completely enclosed, or it puts scaffolding on, out hangings that are otherwise unsupported. And it makes me wonder if like we could create large kind of sink and pipe systems via this kind of creative tool that automatically makes it work in a way, no matter what you throw at it.
Yeah, I think that's cool. And if we start getting into, I'm almost thinking like you're snapping these things together, and like it seemed, I was seeing this thing on the front page of Kotaku, and it almost looks like in the Steam store you're making just like a gallery of things people have access to. So is there like you're just kind of making these interesting objects? It almost becomes like a slimmed down version of Dreams almost at that point, right?
I don't know if the creations are shareable. It's still in early access, and maybe that kind of thing will come in if there's Steam Workshop support later on. But I think from what I've seen, like people have just been kind of like sharing GIFs and screenshots of what they've made. But mostly it's just kind of to play around, have your own fun with it,
Let me look at this email. I need to look at this stainless steel. Single and double preparation sinks. So I wonder if like if you could do, imagine a very loose version of almost like an Overcooked, where you have these like very specific requests come in that's like double preparation sink, but you don't have any way to actually stamp out the shape of that. You just kind of make whatever you want, almost like a game of Pictionary or something. You're loosely drawing these shapes, and then you kind of stamp it into existence, and then you get, the only thing you can do is just browse a gallery of what people have created underneath the heading double preparation sinks and that kind of stuff. So it's like this weirdly categorized art gallery.
I wonder if it's about creating pathways for pipes. If you have to draw a shape, and then that shape will be kind of translated into a run of pipes, and then you have to like find ways to survey the underground or whatever area you're navigating through to draw the perfect shape. I don't know. I'm still not quite finding it.
Let me load the images. I need this image inspiration. Oh, wow. Okay, that is not what I thought it was going to be. These sinks, I guess the image I'll describe in this email to people looks very much like, you've probably seen these types of things in like professional kitchens or like a prep area of like, these are big stainless steel, but they're very bare bones. They look very much like slabs just kind of stuck together. So I wonder if you turn this a little bit into almost an IKEA like simulator. But because everything is stainless steel, it might be hard to make out the parts. And so you really can get into a mess as you try and just kind of assemble these. And then we give you like a welding tool to just sort of weld stuff together. So it's this crazy like metalworking, furniture assembling sort of game.
Or, I've talked about before, one of my favorite things to do in The Sims 3 was to play an architect, where people invite you over to their, sim homes, and they say, I need a new study wing on my house. And they ask you to build a room. This is your budget. These are the objects that need to be in there, and you can do whatever you want to otherwise decorate. But they would also give you basically full creator access to the whole entire house. And so we used to have so much fun going into these, folks' homes and installing sprinklers that sprayed directly on their bed and computer. And, we would demolish the entire house and sell everything they own, and then plop the desired items in the middle of an empty lot and still technically have done the job, finishing hundreds of thousands of dollars under budget because of all the stuff we sold. So I wonder if it's about like, you have to install kind of professional grade equipment in areas where that would be a surprising thing to find there. And you can basically stick a sink onto any piece of furniture or any, the wall, a rock, anything. Once you kind of place it there, then that's where the sink is. And then maybe it auto generates kind of like chefs doing their work, and you get to see the comedy of them, finding ways to utilize what you've created. Or maybe you have to do kind of like an Overcooked style game, and you made your bed, now you have to sleep in it type of thing.
I do like the idea too of maybe instead of even showing, like, you could do two things, right? Which is every time you ship a thing, like, it ends in just like placing it in the middle of a blank room, putting a spotlight on it, and seeing like a little abstracted chef come and like try and chop chicken there on it or something like that. And then you do that piece by piece, and then eventually, once you finish your set, whatever that looks like, then you get to see like all of your things placed into a kitchen, and like a little 10-minute, simulation actually just running of these AI characters doing their best, things flopping around, water going into sinks that are lopsided and spilling all over the place.
Yeah, I like that one. Let's go ahead and close it down. Let's come up with a name. You could do that sinking feeling.
That sinking feeling, or just sinking feeling, is pretty good. Because you could also say that sinking is the act of building a sink.
It's true.
What are you doing? Oh, I'm sinking all day on Saturday.
What are you sinking about?
There we go.
Anyways, that was from CaterWeb. Thank you very much, CaterWeb, for sending that over to us directly. Obviously, it was created as a pitch for a fanciful video game, and I think, delivered upon that.
I think so.
Anyways, if you would like to send something in, and we encourage you to do so, please, then you can email us, playwrightcast@gmail.com. You can tweet us @playwrightcast, or you can go to our website, playwrightcast.com/pitch.
Special thank you to PROTODOME for the use of our theme song, Hello World, off that sweet, sweet Blue Noise. Check out caneandrinse.com to listen to the Cane and Rinse podcast, The Sausage Factory, and Sound of Play. Sweet, sweet Sound of Play, I call it. I don't, but I just started calling it that. I'm trying it out this week. And that's go check out the Cane and Rinse Patreon and support the shows with a couple bucks. Buy somebody a coffee. I think Leon could use some caffeination. What do you think?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Let's get this guy some mocha.
Takes a little bit more to kind of get him out of bed these days.
Yeah, all of us. We're with you, Leon.
All right, we've got a redacted game on the way out. I'll be giving you.
I'm actually nervous.
This one, I don't think it's gonna be that bad, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to say that. That would be very rude for me to say, and then you to struggle with it. So let's clean slate. That was never on the table.
Okay.
Anyways, the stakes are high when the world's most elite redacted unit enters Redacted, where over 36.7 million men, women, and children are redacted. In quotes, Redacted, the home of the famous Redacted, flashy Redacted, and world famous Redacted, becomes the setting for a redacted threat of global proportions. What happens when one of the world's most famous Redacted is held hostage by Redacted?
There's a hostage situation. So I'm now in military mode. The stakes are high when Redacted? Is that what you said?
The stakes are high when the world's most elite Redacted unit enters Redacted.
The elite Redacted unit? So this has got to be... There's not too many terms that could go in there. It's special forces.
It could be this could be the most elite Rabbids unit.
Oh. And what did you say? There's millions of men and women and children?
Right. Enters Redacted, where over 36.7 million men, women, and children redacted.
Is this... I feel like I'm in a military Middle Eastern sort of thing. Is this I don't remember. Is this a Ghost Recon's Wildlands?
It is not Ghost Recon's Wildlands.
Okay, or Ghost Recon Wildlands. I have some. Give me a couple random facts about this thing.
All right. Do you want one that includes the year and platform, or should I omit those details?
Let's give me,
because I can omit the details accolades? And give you like the various rankings, or I can
let's do the rankings.
Okay,
before you give me the platform. Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, I want to stay away from platform because I feel like platform really narrows things in.
It was the number 5 best game on its platform in the year of its release.
Oh.
The number 7 most discussed game on its platform in the year of release, and number 5 most shared game on this platform on the year of its release. Not very helpful, I'll admit. I have the Metacritic score here as well, and I can. I was also thinking of what might be interesting is like a 10 user review and a 0 user review.
Of what percentage are 10s and what percentage are...
No, like reading one random 10 and one random 0.
Yeah, this is good because it might give me a lot. It might give me absolutely nothing, but I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay.
These are users, not the critic reviews.
Right. Okay. I'm
do they all give it away?
I'm reading. I think this one's safe. Okay. It does give some more details, but I think it's stuff that, you've already kind of like honed in on. Reason for giving this game a 10 is not because it's better than Half-Life, Quake, or any other revolutionary FPS, but because there hasn't been a single good FPS for about a year. Prey was a disappointment, and so was Quake 4. And when's the last time there was a real FPS with a storyline and a cooperative mode? Quake 2?
Okay.
That was a 10. See if I can scroll down to the bottom for...
So I'm getting first-person shooter, and I'm getting there's a story to be had. And I guess which is less the Ghost Recon, or at least the modern Ghost Recon games.
So here's the lowest review is a 3, who says, not sure why this game has so many positive reviews. The game itself is false advertisement. It claims to be an extremely realistic redacted FPS game. However, it is a simple run and gun. The graphics are meh. The game mechanics are off, and it just feels like a poorly designed game. So that is somebody who really didn't like it.
Okay. The graphics are meh. Is this... There's so many of them. I almost feel like this is not fair, but is this a Call of Duty? And I will accept that this is not a specific game, so I still have to pick the specific Call of Duty.
It's not within the Dutyverse.
It's not in the Dutyverse. Oh, and it's good. It's number, what'd you say, 5 on its platform?
Yeah, if you want, I can give you actual Metacritic numbers as well.
Okay. Let's end with that.
Okay. Its Metacritic score is 85 on one platform and 88 on another.
Okay, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm zooming in on it. read me the description one more time. What happens after the men, women, and children?
Okay. So it's the stakes are high when the world's most elite redacted unit enters redacted, where over 36.7 million men, women, and children redacted. In quotes, redacted, the home of the famous redacted, flashy redacted, and world famous redacted, becomes the setting for a redacted threat.
Wait. Flashy, famous.
And world famous.
World famous. I think we're in Vegas, and I think we're playing Rainbow Six.
So now there are 2 Rainbow Six Vegas games. Do you want to venture to guess?
Is it Vegas and Vegas 2? What are the 2 Vegas games?
It is Rainbow Six Vegas or Rainbow Six Vegas 2.
Okay, all right. I forgot about Vegas 2, even though that's a better one, right?
I didn't care for Vegas 2.
Okay, Vegas 2 sucks and Vegas is a good one. I remember playing Vegas. I remember doing the voice commands. I remember it was a story. Yeah, I had the stupid Halo plastic green headset and barking in voice commands at the characters. Knowing that you don't have a taste for 2, I'm going to say it's Vegas 1.
Yeah, you got it. Rainbow Six Vegas from 2006, the number 5 best 360 game of 2006, the number 7 most discussed 360 game of 2006, the number 5 most shared of 2006.
I'm glad you didn't give me the platform, because knowing that it was the 360 probably would have unlocked it sooner for me, but I don't know. I guess I cruised past the flashy and famous. I was so concerned about terrorism and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, that's that one's a bit of a giveaway there, but some good details to hone in on.
I should have got it sooner. Woo!
That was the stakes are high
baby.
When the world's most elite counterterrorism unit enters Las Vegas, where over 36.7 million men, women, and children visit each year.
Visit each year was what you redacted? No, that's a good redaction, because it threw me. That makes it a tourist spot, right?
Yeah. Sin City, the home of the famous Las Vegas Strip, flashy hotels, high-rolling casinos, and world-famous celebrities, becomes the setting for a terrorist threat of global proportions. What happens when one of the world's most famous cities is held hostage by terrorists?
My God. Now all of the rapid fire redacted makes sense, because you get like Las Vegas, the Strip, and
there's a lot of details in there.
Yeah, all of them right back to back to back. So that's actually a really good description that they wrote. I feel like it contains. It's very descriptive immediately.
Doesn't mention the multiplayer feature where you're able to scan your own face and put the photograph on the character in the game, though.
I remember, because I had the 360 camera. I must have tried it. But I mostly just remember the 360 camera being used to sexually harass people on Uno, or people being like, Uno was so unpoliced. I was shocked at the things that happened to me on Uno.
Well, I think that's a story for another day, and perhaps a inspiration for a future pitch. So we'll wrap this one up for today. Thanks for listening, everyone. And please do write in. We are running a bit low at the moment.
Yes, we'll catch you next week. Dangerously low.
Dangerously. See ya.
Bye.